Tonight, I want to discuss a significant part of the upcoming New Year for most people, the New Year's resolution. It is a vow that one makes to himself on New Year's Eve or on New Year's Day for the coming year. Let's refresh our memory of what a vow is. A vow is a solemn or earnest pledge or promise binding the person to perform a specific act or behave in a certain way. A solemn promise made to a deity or a saint by which the promiser pledges and binds himself to some future act, course of action, or way of life. This sounds like self-inflicted bondage for one who is supposed to be free. Most common in the Western world, but also found in the Eastern world, a New Year's resolution is a tradition in which a person resolves to continue or to begin good practices, change an undesired trait or behavior, accomplish a personal goal, or otherwise improve their behavior at the beginning of a new calendar year. Around 2000 BC, the Babylonians celebrated the New Year during a 12-day festival called Akitu, which was held at the start of the farming season to plant crops, to crown their king, and to make promises to return borrowed farm equipment and to pay their debts. The Babylonian New Year was adopted by the ancient Romans, as was the tradition of resolutions. The timing, however, shifted within the Julian calendar around 46 BC, which declared January 1st as the start of the new year. The Romans would begin each year by making promises and vows to the god Janus, for whom the month of January is named. In the medieval era, knights took what is known as a peacock vow at the end of the Christmas season each year to reaffirm their commitment to chivalry. At watch night services, many Christians prepare for the year ahead by praying and making resolutions. In Methodist Christianity, the liturgy used for the watch night service for the new year is called the Covenant Renewal Service. In addition to being traditionally held on New Year's Eve, many churches offer the Covenant Renewal Service on both New Year's Eve and on the morning of New Year's Day. This tradition has many other religious parallels. During Judaism's New Year, Rosh Hashanah, through the high holidays and culminating in Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, one is to reflect upon their wrongdoings over the year, and both seek and offer forgiveness. People can act similarly during the Christian liturgical season of Lent, although the motive behind this holiday is more of sacrifice than of responsibility. The concept, regardless of creed, is to reflect upon one's self-improvement annually. The 1671 diary of Anne Halkett includes an entry on January 2nd that is titled Resolutions, which contained a number of religious pledges taken primarily from Bible verses such as, "I will not offend anymore." An early instance of the complete phrase New Year resolution is found in the January 1st issue of a Boston newspaper from 1830. It read, "And yet I believe there are multitudes of people accustomed to receive injunctions of New Year's resolutions, who will sin all the month of December, with the serious determination of beginning the new year with new resolutions and new behavior, and with the full belief that they shall thus expiate and wipe away all of their former faults." Moving forward in time, at the end of the Great Depression, about 25% of American adults formed New Year's resolutions. At the start of the 21st century, that increased to about 40%. In fact, according to the American Medical Association, in 1995, approximately 40 to 50% of Americans participated in the New Year resolution tradition. A 2000 study A 2007 study by Richard Wiseman from the University of Bristol, which involved 3,000 people, showed that 88% of those who set New Year's resolutions fail, despite the fact that 52% of the study's participants were confident that they would succeed at the beginning. For myself, it becomes clear that New Year's resolutions are a tradition of man, whereby man idolizes himself and tries to clean his own slate. It appears that many, if not all, of New Year resolutions are self-centered and they rely upon man to accomplish them. Too often they are very generic and without any specificity or intermediate goals where you can determine progress or completion. People place great expectation upon their resolutions and are devastated when they fail. Although some do realize their resolutions, they are very few, and the resolutions probably didn't demand much change in their lifestyle. But the beginning of a new year is an opportunity for self-examination. By self-examination, I mean where you and God reflect upon your current lifestyle. After this self-examination, what is it that God is telling you? Don't get caught up with the Christianese mentality where you need to do something to and by yourself. We are to allow Holy Spirit to continue the transformation of our mind, where He is conducting our realignment to God's truth. Regardless of what the self-help authors say, we are incapable of transforming ourselves. This brings us to the point of tonight's discussion. Where is your focus? Are you looking from a positive or a negative perspective during your self-examination? Hopefully, you are listening to God as He lovingly tells us about ourselves. He loves to tell us about our identity and our intimate relationship with Him. Who will influence your self-examination perspective? Will it be God? Will it be yourself? Or will it be the adversary? Remember, a resolution boils down to a choice. We receive God's gift of free will, which allows us to decide whether or not we will follow Jesus. Our free will also allows us to love God freely, as He freely and unconditionally loves us. When you focus on the new year, where will your focus be? Will it be upon yourself or upon Him and His kingdom? I have it on good authority that this year will be a shift from foundational transition to transformation for us, if we choose to accept this change. Change is difficult for many people. The status quo is fine for many, but it creates stagnation and what some call complacency. Daddy played 2 songs for me this week on the radio. You may be familiar with Lauren Daigle's You Say, while the other is not yet released by Josh Baldwin, and it's titled Made for More. These 2 songs will begin our changing focus from foundational transition to actual transformation. Both deal with identity and relationship with God. Isaiah 55:9 in the Message version says, I don't think the way you think. The way you work isn't the way I work. For as the sky soars high above the earth, so the way I work surpasses the way you work, and the way I think is beyond the way you think. Just as rain and snow descend from the skies and don't go back until they've watered the earth, doing their work of making things grow and blossom, producing seed for farmers and food for the hungry, so will the words that come out of my mouth not come back empty-handed. They'll do the work that I sent them to do. They'll complete the assignment I gave them. So how do we see this in the song, You Say? God's perspective of us is true, while for the most part ours isn't. We tend to look at ourselves from a temporal perspective, which is the perspective of the adversary, the world, and us. That perspective is a lie, a deception, a perversion of the truth about us. We are spiritual beings clothed in a fleshly body to continue the work of Jesus on planet Earth while being enabled by Holy Spirit as He was. When we accepted and made Jesus Lord of our lives, our flesh was crucified on the cross with Jesus. Just as the fleshly body of Jesus died and His true self, His Spirit, continued to live, so it is with us. Our fleshly body should no longer rule over us. We have Holy Spirit, Jesus, and our Father living within us. We are made in the image of God, who is Spirit. In the song You Say, we find the challenges that we face daily. I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. Yet in spite of these challenges, we also hear God's truth. You say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. And you say I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, you say I am yours. After hearing these truths, our response as His children should be, and I believe what you say of me. I believe. The only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth. In you I find my identity. Taking all I have, and now I'm laying it at your feet. You'll have every failure, God. You'll have every victory. Yes, I believe what you say of me. Oh, I believe. When words are spoken, they produce only two kinds of fruit. They either give life or take life by giving death. Words created and create the environment in which we live. God spoke and creation happened. God's truth is powerful. God's words are powerful. Man speaks, and through the spiritual dominion he was given, he creates the atmosphere, the environment in which he lives. Which environment are you establishing? Life or death? Which perspective are you looking from? God's? Yours? The adversary's? God has told us that the words that come out of His mouth do not come back empty-handed. They'll do the work that He sent them to do, and they'll complete the assignment He gave them. His words contain love, correction, life, wisdom, and the list goes on. They are uplifting and encouraging. He gives life. Are you listening to His voice giving the words that He wants you to speak to give life to others? Or are you listening to the voice of yourself or the adversary when you speak? As the new year begins next week, ponder upon what has God spoken to you of your identity and your relationship with Him. Listen first, then act or speak as He reveals His desires to you. We, as members of God's family, do not need to make resolutions as others choose to do, because we offer our lives, our minds, and our praise to God daily. Remember, a resolution is a decision, a choice. We can choose to listen first, then act. We are God's image on earth. In Him we have our identity and our most intimate relationship. We can choose to serve others as led and enabled by Holy Spirit, and thus glorify our God. That is my resolution, my choice for the new year. Earlier, I mentioned that we would use 2 songs to begin the transformation that God has in store for us this coming year. Tonight, we use the song You Say to see just how different our perspective, our thoughts, and our ways are from God's. Next time, we'll take a look at the song Made for More to further explore the differences between our perspectives.